Hey guys, what's going on? So today, like my last video, I wanted to show off one of my Minecraft worlds, except this is not a survival world. This is actually an adventure map that I made in the tail end of 2015 with a couple of friends. So here we can actually see the credits to all the people who worked on it. I do not play with, nor am I in contact with really any of these people anymore. Oh my god, Soul Rider, I forgot he even existed. Um, I wonder what happened to him. But you can actually see that this was made before they did a biome update, so it is a super flat world, but for some reason back then super flat worlds would generate, on the console at least, they would generate with like these little random ponds in them. I think that was actually an option on the Xbox 360. You could really heavily customize your super flat worlds, which was really cool, and that was a feature that they never brought back in the Bedrock edition, which is kind of a shame. Again, like my last map, pretty much all these maps that I'm going to be showing for a while are ported from the 360 onto Bedrock Edition. So yeah, these are the creators of the map, and basically the premise of this map was, I mean, these are all the rules and basically how to play. Basically, because of the options on 360 were limited, you didn't have, we didn't have commands or anything like that or any kind of plugins, so we had to kind of go off of an honor system to follow the rules of not breaking walls and stuff, although they did have adventure mode at that point, but I didn't really understand how to use it. So anyway, let me just get into the premise of it. So the premise is you would get one of these chests, and in each chest would just have some food for you to start off, a book containing the background of the story. There was like a little loose story, and a revive token. Now, what the revive tokens were is they were just bottles of enchanting renamed, and they basically serve the same function as the totems of undying in regular Minecraft nowadays. Now, obviously, why didn't we just use totem of undying? It's because they didn't exist yet. They didn't exist for several more years. It would take several years for a totem to come to the game. So, yeah, basically what you do is one person in the lobby would be it, per se. It was kind of like a game of tag. One person would be it, and they would get creative privileges to fly around and become invisible, and they could spawn in monsters and stuff like that with spawn eggs. And if someone threw down one of these revive tokens, they had to teleport them, because that was a thing you could do on 360. They had like a whole interface for it. The 360 Minecraft had a lot of really cool features that aren't in Bedrock, unfortunately. And they'd have to teleport them back once they threw down a revive token. So you could either revive yourself, or you could have a teammate use one of their revive tokens, and they would say who they wanted to revive. So it kind of worked like a Totem of Undying, but just a little bit differently. So what you had outside the map were these little blue boxes, and the blue boxes gave the instructions to whoever was it what they were supposed to do in the next phase and how they would allow players to go to a next level. So it says here you would turn the weather to clear, keep the daylight cycle off, don't spawn any mobs, and mob spawning would be on. Like, so random mobs could spawn, but you couldn't spawn any hostile mobs to attack the players. So the other thing that the 360 had was it had an option to change the weather. It was like a little interface. Like, you could just go to the menu, and then there would be an option. You could go to like settings or whatever, and you could change the weather in the middle of the game. It was pretty cool if you had that enabled. So basically, for each stage or level or whatever you wanted to call it, the players had to reach a certain milestone to be allowed to progress to the next stage. So for this one was they had to get some basic food items, and then you would have to go to the next level. And you were allowed to backtrack to a certain point. So like for this level here, basically it was supposed to kind of emulate the original Xbox 360 tutorial area where they had like that pond, and you could basically, it was just to, because that was kind of the whole thing. It was supposed to be like if Minecraft had a story mode, this was supposed to be it before the horrible game Minecraft Story Mode came out. And they would have to find, different chests with items in them, and they can get food by fishing and stuff like that. The ocelots were not supposed to spawn, because like I said before, this was made before the biome update, and yeah, so it was made before the biome update, and then the biome update kind of messed it up from a regular plains biome, and it turned it into a jungle biome. That's why the grass is so bright. So it kind of broke the map a little bit. So then whoever was it would fly through here. There's a switch in there that would activate that door and would open it up. So, and that out there was just a little lobby. It was just a waiting area. So people would spawn in this around this pillar here, and then whoever was it would break that. And in each little area, they had a title for the area, and then they had little booklets that you could read a story from. I could just show you. I'm not going to read the whole thing. So you can just see it just has, it gives you a little bit of context to what you're supposed to be doing, and it gives you hints. Also, books were not stackable back then, so that's why they're laid out like that. But it gives you a little context, and pandas are definitely not supposed to spawn here. This map would be pretty broken if it would be tried to be played today, so that kind of sucks. Players were allowed to mine ores with a pickaxe if they found it, but they were not allowed to mine the stone... Oh, whoops. They were not allowed to mine the stone walls. They could only mine ores and stuff like that. So the next area they'd go to was this village, and someone designed an Easter egg on here. One of the map creators designed an Easter egg where you'd have to take, like, this book, and then you'd have to put it in a chest over... I think you had to put it in this chest or something like that. Oh yeah, no, it was this book you had to take, and I had one of the chests you have to put it in, and that unlocks something via redstone that gives you something secret. I don't remember what it was exactly, but I designed this house, I remember, and that house someone else designed, but these houses here and that one over there I designed. I actually really like this design. I should use this in a survival build. So yeah, you'd go through here. The goal of this one was now the daylight cycle would be turned on. I know this from memory. The daylight cycle would be turned on when you got to this level, and it could turn nighttime, and monsters were actually more of a real danger. And when it did become nighttime, whoever was it was allowed to spawn in more monsters to attack you, and you'd have to survive. And how you got through this stage, how you completed this stage, rather, was you found a lever through... I think there was a stick... and there was a piece of cobblestone that you could craft into a lever to open this iron door. And I believe that there was also just a lever that was already crafted, but it was a bit harder to find. I think that was down here, because, yeah, you can go down into the well, and there's a chest down there. And there's also a path that goes underground in one of these houses. I don't remember which one it was, though. So, basically, then from there, you'd go into here... read that book to give you a bit of context, and you would find this. Now, this room here had some, like, advanced items in it that were more powerful than the regular items you'd get, and that was kind of the challenge. As you went throughout the world, as you went throughout the game, it was kind of a challenge to find levers and buttons that you could use as keys to open the iron doors, because, again, you weren't allowed to just break them. So people could find more powerful weapons by doing that. So then they'd go into stage 3, which was down here. Yeah, this was stage 3. And you would go here, and this one was a lot of fun. This stage, whoever was it, on their instructions, it specifically tells them to just spawn like a ridiculous amount of skeletons and spiders and zombies, and they were allowed to spawn slimes way down here. They couldn't spawn them up there, but they were allowed to spawn them down here. And because of these narrow little bridges, if a skeleton hit you off, a lot of the times it was game over unless someone wanted to revive you, or you had your own revive token. So there were little hints scattered around the map, and the hint here was you would have to get... I want to say there was... Why is there a stripped jungle log in here? That's a little weird. Must be an error in the game or something, because stripped jungle logs didn't exist when I made this map. But yeah, basically you'd have to take this TNT, and there's iron... There was supposed to be a piece of flint in here, I think. Because basically what you do is you would use the TNT. You could mine any of the ores you wanted if you had gotten a pickaxe in the earlier stage. And that would be good, because if memory serves, I think behind this iron there's some diamond. But you'd blow this up here, and then you use the flint and steel that you made to get into the nether portal, and that would lead you to stage 4. So stage 4 was the nether. It's actually interesting, because this is the first time going in here since the nether update. And in stage 4, you'd have to go in here again. This is another... area, if you had a lever or a button to open this powered door, you could get really good items from in there. There was some good swords. I think there was an enchanted bow, and there was some good armor in there too. But it was really, really hard. This ladder is supposed to be broken. I made it like that just to kind of mess with people. And I remember the instructions for whoever was it over here tell them, yeah, they can't spawn magma cubes, wither skeletons, or blazes, but they could put pigmen and gas if there were already no gas that were flying around, and they were allowed to agitate the pigmen to make them attack. So this was a really, really, really difficult level. Most people would just power right through this and run right through, because, you know, when you're in the nether in the open, when gas start attacking you, you're going to have a bad time. And someone, again, not me, they put a... Yeah, this guy Future here, he put a book on top of a chest in the middle of lava, which was a pain to get, so people would try to swim through here and take a bit of damage. And if memory serves, it's kind of a troll. You open it up. Yeah, very mature. But yeah, it was just kind of a troll. There were diamonds, I think, in... Yeah, there was a diamond in here. And that glowstone dust is actually useful, because you were allowed to craft, and you could craft that into glowstone. And the, whoever was it was supposed to play that while you were fighting in here. And it was pretty cool to have that music while, you know, 5 or 6 guys would run around and fight ghasts. So then you'd go from here, and because this was such a rough stage, the next stage I made it as like a little rest area, which again, with the biomes being changed, this doesn't work anymore because the snow melts because it's in a jungle biome, which is considered warm. So the snow kind of melts. You can already see it's melting there. But originally, the idea was this was just a rest area. It was a rest stage where you could run around, you could explore the chests and get some items, let your health regenerate. No mobs would be spawned. The daylight cycle was off, and if it was nighttime, it would be switched to day. The weather cycle was off, and you would just basically walk around and kind of just basically refresh yourself and whatever you needed to do, organize your inventory, things like that. Now this area here, and that's the thing, when everybody was ready, they would tell the whoever was it, and then you just go to the next area. But the thing is, once you went to the next area from here, you weren't allowed to backtrack to any of the previous areas, so you couldn't, you know, go back and hide there or anything like that. So this area is the desert, and the desert stage, I don't remember. I can find, here we go, nope, that's for the Wasteland. There were host instructions somewhere, there they are. Not host instructions, but Okay, yeah, so for the desert area, the rule was that the players had to open and find every item in every chest, which wasn't hard to do. They were just supposed to... Again, another stripped jungle log. That's strange. I wonder if Flint was replaced, like its block ID was replaced with stripped jungle log. That's weird. That's very weird. Huh. But yeah, they had to explore, and that was the other thing, too. The people that were playing the game didn't know what they had to do to progress to the next stage. At least not at first. I think sometimes I would tell them, because some of the areas were... I don't remember. It's been years since I've properly played this. So basically, they'd explore everything here, get everything in the chests, and then move to the next stage. This stage was one of the hardest stages in the game. Basically, what they would have to do is... During the day, it would start off as daytime. They'd start this off as daytime. And during the daytime, they would have to just kind of explore and do their thing. And then either when it turns night, it would start, or when all players agreed that they were ready, the host or the person who was it would set the weather to rain, and then after 3 minutes, the weather would be set to thunderstorms, and the entire time, they would be placing down mobs of all types. Creepers, skeletons, zombies, slimes. All types of standard overworld mobs would be placed in mass numbers. So all the players would have to run. And it was pretty open, so the monsters would chase after them. A cool thing was, like, the whole roleplay per se of the game was that whoever was it was supposed to be Herobrine, and this was like an altar to him, and you could sacrifice items that whoever was it would pick up, and if they were feeling generous, they would pick an item from the creative inventory, say a diamond sword, and they would throw it down. But if they were feeling not generous, they might throw a splash potion of harming at you to do damage to you. So it was a constant gamble, and depending on who was it, depended on, you know, what you do. So it was a lot of fun, especially if you knew the people you were playing with. And when the thunderstorm would only be turned off when the nighttime would be over. So when the nighttime would be over, the thunderstorm would turn off. At this point, you had two different paths to choose. You could not choose both. The remaining players would take a vote on whether to go to the castle or the Wasteland. Both of them have really, really overpowered gear for the final stage, which is the school. And, I guess I'll cover the Wasteland first. So the Wasteland looks boring. Most people would choose the castle because it looks cooler, but the Wasteland was actually a lot of fun, and I would definitely say it was the more challenging of the two, though. Inside this little crashed spaceship here, which I made this, inside the crashed spaceship there was some heavily enchanted tools with really, it was supposed to be like alien weapons. I think there was a, bow in there, and I think I named it like the ray gun or something. Let me look at that. Yeah, okay, we got a laser sword with sharpness 5 and fire aspect 2, and then we had a laser gun with flame 1 and power 5. So yeah, there was pretty overpowered gear inside of that. But the thing was, when you got to the Wasteland, they would be allowed to cross it, and I want to say it was like pretty much as soon as they got to the Wasteland, it would turn to nighttime quicker than a regular daylight cycle, so they would turn to night after only like 3 minutes of being in the Wasteland. So by the time you got from here to the best stuff, which was in the spaceship, all kinds of monsters were spawning, and it was kind of the same thing as the hills over there. It was just a thunderstorm that you had to survive the entire night in a heavy thunderstorm while all manner of creatures tried to kill you. So there were some good items in here, and you really had to explore. You had to run through, you know, there's a crafting table, a furnace for anything you needed. But the Wasteland was hard. It was hard for a lot of reasons, because if you had a bunch of skeletons standing up here shooting down at you, that would become a problem for you. There was a lot of places you could fall down and just die from fall damage. I remember most players tended to stick to either they would stay in this corner, or they would stay basically where you enter in that corner over there. What's in here? Just a diamond. You know, the items in these chests really aren't that good. And again, when you have 4 to 6 players, I mean, you could have technically up to 7 survivors, you know, 7 people trying to survive running around. When you have that many people, it would become pretty difficult to... Again, I didn't put stripped logs on these chests. The block ID must have been switched out. So if I ever play this again, I'm going to have to fix the chests, among other things. Yeah, another thing people would do, though, is they would hide in here. And, oh, also, whoever was it was allowed to place up to 10 lava buckets anywhere they wanted. They couldn't place them right on top of you, but they could place them, like, in critical, you know, crucial pathways. Like, they could put one right here, or wherever. So that's the Wasteland. Now, the castle... I built the castle myself. Someone else helped me with the trees. Basically, during the day, you would actually get a full 10 minutes to explore the castle during the day. It was either 10 minutes, or if everyone voted that they were ready to face the nighttime, and it was the same thing. You would get a... Was there a thunder? No, there wasn't a thunderstorm for the castle, and the reason was, the castle, what would happen is, whoever was it would set the entire forest on fire as soon as the nighttime started to fall. The entire forest would be set on fire, so you really couldn't stay out there. They would spawn mobs all around the castle, and you'd have to survive through the night for that. Now, the castle was pretty easy to survive in. To be honest, they were not balanced at all. The Wasteland had slightly better items, but it just wasn't worth it when you consider the fact that... Why is there a map in here? Again, the chest must have gotten messed up somehow, but yeah, the castle had ever so slightly worse items in the Wasteland, but it was so much easier to survive, and you would save a lot of revive tokens going to the castle. And that's not to say that the items in the castle were bad. There weren't a lot. There was just... These chests were mainly just for show. If I can get people to play this map, I'll definitely update it. What was in here? Why is there nothing in here? There was definitely more in here than that. What is this? Oh, great. It disappears in creative. Well, we'll never know. So, yeah, you basically just have your typical towers. You have the little armory there. You have a furnace up here. It is cool because you can kind of look over the whole map, but what was really cool is if you went down here, this would be set on fire too, so the inside of the castle would be burning sometimes. And you could go down here and there was like a prison in here. Now, what would happen is whoever was allowed to open these one-way doors. And they were allowed to kind of lock players in here, because what they would do is they would place... It was always played on hard difficulty, so they would spawn a whole bunch of zombies right here. And the zombies would break down the doors, so people would run away. Then whoever was would open these doors to kind of fool them into going in there to hide. And then they'd be locked in there, and another player would have to place a lever or a button or something. Or just... Well, they could hit the button that's already there, too. Then through here, you had a church, which, again, would be set on fire, and they would spawn... What I used to do whenever I was I used to spawn skeletons behind the seats, and that was always fun, watching people in the church that was on fire taking cover here, trying to shoot the skeletons. I would say overall the castle was more fun to play through, but the Wasteland was cool. The Wasteland was a challenge. Now, the last and final stage, regardless of which side you took, you'd basically... Here you'd come, that would open, and you could come through there, or there's one on the other side. So the final arena, or stage, level, whatever you want to call it, was the school. And the school was the craziest level of them all. Basically, whoever was again, they would have the entirety of the day to just explore the inside of the school. And there was a lot to explore. You could not get through this whole place in 10 minutes. There was these lockers here. Most of them had nothing in them, although some of them did. I don't know why I'm not seeing anything in them now. Again, that might be... Here we go. The other thing about the lockers is... The school was supposed to be kind of a fun area, because I made it at the end of when I was finishing up high school. So basically, everyone that developed the world, I allowed them to make and name different items in an anvil, so they could rename them to whatever they wanted. And allowing a bunch of teenagers to name items in Minecraft, probably not the best idea. What is this called? Okay, that's just called gold ingot. That was not what I expected. But there's some pretty raunchily named things. Some of them were like themed, like an electronics project there. That makes sense to be in a school. But you know, you had classrooms like this. You have a SpongeBob reference there. I was pleased the way this came out. But yeah, you could search through every single locker, and as you can see, most of them don't have... What is this? Oh my. Most of them don't have items in them. Why is there tampons in the boys' locker room? Okay, moving on. So... Yeah, that was the first floor. You also had a girls' locker room here. So you had that. It's the same thing, basically. This was actually loosely inspired off of the high school I went to. The layout isn't the same, not even close, nor is the size, but some of the rooms look very similar. Like, the locker rooms look like the gym locker rooms. The cafeteria, the way this is set up, looks similar. A little funny thing that I do remember, I don't know why there's an anvil here. I think this is the anvil we used to rename items, and I just never removed it from the actual level. So, yeah, we had a very, very small gymnasium. Again, it was not to scale to anything, just certain things were inspired. So the second floor is more lockers. I really, really liked... Oh, God. Jesus Christ. What were people making? See, I love how you have, like, regular, normal books, like music for beginners, and then you have, what is this? Water bottle, and then 50 Shades of Grey. You have completely normal items, and you have weird items. Biology textbook, crumpled paper. And that was kind of the cool part of them. Someone snuck alcohol in. But that was kind of the cool part of this level, is that you had so many items that were just useful, and then so many items that were just completely useless and served no purpose at all. Same thing with the rooms, too, so a lot of them were just there for aesthetic purposes. I really liked this one. All these, what do these signs say? I don't even remember. Good noodle board. Again, just SpongeBob references. What's in here? Oh yeah, the library. I don't know why they had auto manuals in a high school library, but I mean, maybe they have that. Maybe that's a thing. I wish I could have made this library a bit bigger, but it was still cool. So anyway, basically what the players would do in here is they would go through for 10 minutes, and then the thunder and lightning would be turned on again, where they'd have to survive through the night. Except the catch was, randomly during the night, whoever was allowed to take anything they wanted from the creative inventory. Like, they could max out on spawn eggs, they could max out on gear, or both, and then they would make themselves visible, and they would have to fight the remaining survivors. So whoever was still alive, they would have to fight to the death. So, but the thing is, they could have any gear they wanted. So they could have, like, maxed out diamond gear, along with, you know, flint and steel or whatever else, and they would set all the wood in here would be set on fire. So that made things challenging, so they'd usually get a fire resistance potion to keep themselves alive, and then they would fight, and the rule was, if the survivors could kill the person who was supposed to be playing the part of Herobrine, then the survivors won. If the survivors got killed by Herobrine and his monsters, then they lost. One thing that was odd is a lot of people would tend to gravitate towards this bus for some reason, which I don't understand, but a lot of the survivors would just camp out in this bus. And they usually wouldn't do too well, and I don't know why there's a cow in the ground. That was made by one of the people that developed the map. They insisted that we had to have a cow in the parking lot. Not sure why, but I allowed it because the last level wasn't meant to be taken seriously. So, yeah, that is an adventure map that I made in 2015. I never made a proper name for it. I really do like the last 3 stages, though. I think they came out very well. And if you want to play it sometime, leave a comment down below, and we can add each other on Xbox. If we get enough people, we can definitely play it. If you want to play on any of my other worlds, then we can do that too. What is over here? Red. Oh yeah, that's a reference to Red Death. He was this squeaker on my survival world. There's actually a lot of references to events that happened on the survival world as like inside jokes, because some of the people that developed this world played on the survival world, so there's a lot of little references. So anyway, if you want to play this world, leave a comment, let me know. If you liked the video, leave a like. If you want to see more like this, please subscribe. Thank you for watching as always. Stay safe and have a great day. Goodbye.